Welcome to Let's Talk Cardano, presented by the Cardano Foundation. In each episode, we delve deep into the transformative world of blockchain technology. Join us as we explore how blockchain is reshaping industries from finance to supply chain and talk with some of the key pioneers at the forefront of this revolution. All right here on Let's Talk Cardano.
Hi, I'm Denicio Bute, Community Content Lead at the Cardano Foundation. In this episode, I sit down with renowned author and blockchain expert Don Tapscott to discuss the evolution of the internet and the dawn of Web3. I hope you enjoy this informative discussion that kicks off with conversation of Tapscott's latest book.
The first book that was brought out that you co-authored in 2016. And if we look at the new book that you're co-authored recently, what is the difference? What can you tell me about that?
Well, Blockchain Revolution, by the way, that was my 15th book. I wrote a couple of books in the 1980s that nobody read. They were like studies in bad timing. But I started writing bestsellers in the early 1990s, and I've tried to nail some of the big transitions. And around 2013, I started collaborating with my son, Alex, who was an investment banker, and he ended up quitting his fancy job and writing this book with me, and it obviously had a big impact. It helped the world move from Bitcoin to blockchain. Now, Alex has published this new book. It's called Web3, Charting the Internet's Next Economic and Cultural Frontier. And the transition goes like this, two things. Blockchain Revolution was about the shift from an internet of information, that's what we've had for 40 years, to an internet of value, where anything of value from money, securities, intellectual property, the data and our identities, art, music, culture, whatever, can be managed, transacted, communicated securely and privately, peer-to-peer. And trust is not achieved by a middleman, it's achieved by cryptography and collaboration and some clever code. And that was kind of a big idea. Since then, this has evolved a couple of ways. First of all, we've introduced the idea of Web3. And it's another way of looking at this, and it helps move our understanding forward. So when the web first came out, and I was very much involved in that, it was a platform for the presentation of content. Okay, you went to websites. In computer science lingo, it was the read web. You read the web. And then around 2000, we saw the rise of XML and some other technologies where you could write to the web. The web was no longer a platform for presentation. It was a platform for computation and collaboration. So you go to Wikipedia and, enter something, or social media. And then we saw a further evolution that was brought about by blockchain. And here's the thing. You see, the second web, it enabled the creation of all kinds of data, but that data was captured by a small handful of big technology companies.
Exactly, yes.
Web3 is the read, write, own web, the way Alex describes it, where the users and the creators of value get to own and manage their own value. So that's one big change. The second is quite profound, that blockchain is not some kind of separate technology. It's merging with AI, the Internet of Things, and extended reality. And it radically changes each of those. So Alex describes it as the Web3 era. And think about it, AI. Everybody's worried about AI. Are we going to, it's proprietary, it's owned by big technology companies. They use our data and they exploit it. No one knows about the underlying algorithms. Maybe we're going to lose our human agency. The second thing is it changes extended reality. So I don't want a Mark Zuckerberg view of the metaverse where you go, it's like Disney World. You go there and you have fun, but he sets all the rules and he owns everything. We need a metaverse that's an ownership metaverse, right? Web3.
Exactly.
And the same is true for the Internet of Things. If that light bulb buys some power from a distributed power source and its reputation as a device is enhanced because it pays the bill promptly. That's not going to go through some central Visa server or something.
No,
it's going to go through a blockchain. So this is the Web3 era, these four technologies coming together.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You earlier on you mentioned about self-sovereign identity, or
Yeah.
let's say identity, but I
Yeah.
guess you also like really were referring to self-sovereign identity. What is your view on self-sovereign identity and its biggest adoption drivers?
Well, the idea is a powerful one. The virtual Denicio knows more about you than you do because all this data that you create and you leave a trail of crumbs and it's captured by these, we call them digital conglomerates. It's a new species of business like Google and Apple and Facebook and Amazon and so on.
I think the majority of people would kind of like refer to that as big data, I guess.
Well, they refer to, but they refer to these companies as big tech, which is, I think, a digital conglomerate's a better term. But you can't remember where you were a year ago, exactly what you said, what you bought, what medication you had, what diagnosis you had, and so on. So this is a big problem for you and for all of us because it means you can't use the data to plan your life. It means you can't monetize the data. There's a guy named Jared Lanier who's done some research on this. He says that there are 1.5 billion people in the world that could double their income if they could monetize their data. It means that your data is not secure because it's on a central server. And there are two types of those that have been hacked and those that will be hacked, okay? It means that your data can't be aggregated and anonymized for social purposes because it's in these big tech silos, say to stop a pandemic. And it means your privacy is being undermined. And people say to me, well, Don, privacy's dead. Get over it. Got nothing to hide. What's your problem? This is stupidity. Privacy is the foundation of freedom. And all this data represents our identities. We need to get them back to ourselves in a sovereign way.
Yes.
So the idea of this self-sovereign identity is a powerful one, where all this data gets swept on a blockchain and you own it.
Yes. So what we see is that the world is kind of like waking up to the fact that all of this data is being controlled by a conglomerate of big tech. But we also have, of course, now this self-sovereign identity, concept of self-sovereign identity. Its adoption is relatively low. What I'd like to know is, what do you think are the barriers to adoption for that?
Well, when it comes to data, we've all made this Faustian deal, that we'll use the current model of social media or the metaverse or search or whatever. We'll give them the asset class of the digital age, data, because they give us some value. It's hard to see how that's going to change, but it will. And here's how. The self-sovereign identity concept was a big one. I've written a lot about this, but people don't understand that it's going through a fundamental change right now. That data, the virtual you, is not just data. It's about to become imbued with intelligence by AI. So you're going to have...
But for what purpose?
Well, you're going to have a sidekick, the digital you, that's not only got data, it's smart. And you're going to tell it what to do. You're going to instruct it with your values and what matters to you. And it's going to help you manage your life. It's going to be monitoring your body and making recommendations for medical stuff. It's going to be helping you through life. It'll remember this interview, in case, what was it that I asked Tapscott, or what did he say? It's going to help you with art. It's going to help you with lifelong learning, because it's kind of smart. It has all the knowledge in the world.
And that is, of course, the AI part that comes to play.
Yeah, that's right. So, it'll help you if you're dating. Rather than swiping, going out with some loser, it'll have 1,000 virtual dates with 1,000 other digital twin persons and come back with a real solid recommendation. So this is a radical thing. And I can't think of a bigger change, not just in technology, but in the human existence, the way that we work and learn and live and play and even think. And we'll have all kinds of really juicy things like, what are we going to get that thing to do? And what are we going to get us to do? Yeah. What will we store off board rather than having to remember it? That your digital twin will remember it. This is my new book, by the way, and it's about digital personhood, the multimodal you. And it's called Agentic AI. And blockchain is really key to all of this.
That's interesting. I really like that concept. I like the idea as well. What we are speaking of right now, right, is kind of the combination or the blending of blockchain technology, self-sovereign identity, AI, the use of AI. But I'd love to hear from you specifically, like about the synergy between blockchain and AI. And then specifically in this new era that we're in of AI, basically.
Right.
So what can you tell us about that synergy?
I mean, hey, I've been known to come up with ideas that are somewhat radical. So here's a radical one. We need a whole new model of AI. It shouldn't be controlled by digital conglomerates. We need an open, decentralized model of AI based on blockchain. So think about it. The hardware. There's not enough hardware in these data centers for AI to work anyway. We need all the hardware in the world. Decentralized physical infrastructure running on a blockchain. So your computer and my computer, while we're sleeping, are contributing. We need a new decentralized model of large language models. They can be decentralized. And if they are, that means we can have transparency. This is a new digital world. If I take this glass and I open my fingers, what's going to happen to it? It's going to go down, it's going to go up, it's going to spin around, it's going to flip. No, everyone knows it's going to go down. It's called gravity. We know the laws and the rules in the physical world. But out there, in the world of AI, who knows what's going on with these algorithms? They need to be transparent. We need an open, so this is the whole stack of AI. We need an open data model so there can be community governance and transparency. We need open applications. So at all levels of the AI stack, we need to bring blockchain to bear. Now, reinventing the model of AI, non-trivial, okay? But Alex and I, we work together, and people say, well, that's going to be really hard to do. And we always say, well, okay, let's put that problem in one of two boxes. Box number one, reasons why this is a bad idea and it's never going to happen. Box number two, implementation challenges. Moving to a new model of AI.
When you say implementation, what do you mean exactly by that?
Well, I mean that
what level?
It's going to be tough to make this happen, but it's not a reason to not do it, okay? So we got to make it happen. And to have a decent, reasonable future for humankind, we need to do this. It's not about, people say to me, Don, well, what's going to happen in the future? I don't think the future is something to be predicted. It's something to be achieved. And we have to marshal our human will to bring about this historic change in the way that AI works.
Yeah. So we do know that the technology is evolving. We know that this is not going to stop. The evolvement it is rapidly evolving.
You think?
I do believe, blockchain, look where we are right now. Yeah. There's many different concepts and ideas. Of course, they need to be further implemented, further researched, et cetera. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to AI models and creating standards or regulation, how far should we go with that? Should that be regulated? And if so, what is your take on that?
Well, this is a big topic.
I know.
Do we have another 2 or 3 hours for this? No. We need regulation in certain areas. Financial assets. Blockchain is being used to replace everything that banks do. What do banks do? They enable the movement of value. Yes. They store value. Yes. They exchange value, and you have stock market, stuff like that. They invest in value, venture capital, mutual funds, hedge funds, private equity, and so on.
Custodians.
They insure all of that can be done by software. You don't need a bank. So as this technology increasingly enables financial markets to occur, they're bad actors. Now, the challenge with regulation, and of course, this is true of many other areas. You think about AI. You think about our privacy and our data and so on. But just let me make 2 points. Okay, it's a complicated topic. One is we need to get the balance between regulation and innovation right. And for the whole first period, really, of this technology, it's been off, because here we have this revolution that's coming up against old models of the industry, against old financial institutions, against old laws, an entire system
establishments,
of jurisprudence, against old government structures, against old attitudes about how things work, how transactions occur. Some Filipino doctor who's left their ancestral land, come to Toronto, is working there, sends money back to her mom that she should pay 11%, to Western Union. So this is a big change, and it's a tough change to make. And in many areas, regulation has hurt innovation. This a really good example of that, and it goes back to the origin, it predates Cardano, is that Ethereum was created by some people in Canada, where I live. And we drove it out of the country.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The regulators made it impossible. All the innovation, all those jobs.
Was that because they thought they saw that as a threat or something?
Yeah. The founders of Ethereum thought the Canadian government's going to come after us. So, and I've made that point to some ministers of the federal government in Canada so you need to get that balance right. The second thing that I would say is that in many ways the industry needs to have better stewardship for itself, to ensure that bad actors aren't messing things up. But also in some areas, we were talking about self-sovereign identity, right? Privacy. Well, people think privacy. We need government, GDPR. We need governments to protect our privacy. Well, there may be a role for government, but we don't need our privacy protected. We need to own our own data so that we can decide what we're going to protect and what we're not. So many areas of regulation, people get it totally wrong. They think we're going to regulate this when this is not the problem. Yeah. The problem of privacy is a symptom of something much bigger. We don't need access to our data. We need to own our data. Exactly. So we need a whole new model of the technology. Then the need for regulation goes away.
But shouldn't that go hand in hand? I mean, you can work, of course, this is with the regulators, while still,
sure.
Obviously, if you don't have rules and regulations, then there can be a case of chaos, or let's say anyone can come in and take advantage of you because there's basically no rules to regulate that.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I think it should go hand in hand, of course, with the industry working together with regulators. But
and that's happening, but it's taking a while. I was speaking to a bunch of government leaders recently, in a country that was slow in adopting all this. And one of them said to me, "What's the main thing we should do?" And I probably shouldn't have said this, but it just slipped out. I said, the first thing is you got to wake up. You're worried about crypto. Crypto is the tip of something much bigger. It's not about the digitization of a currency or security. This is about the digitization of carbon credits and barrels of oil, where all that data can be put in a token. It's about digitization of our identities. It's about digitization of parts of a human body for the medical institutions to help us manage our health. And if you're going to have a problem with that, you're going to outlaw the innovation economy in the future. So this is what a country that has a lot of oil. So I said to them, you better have a lot of oil because you're sure not going to participate in the next economy.
Exactly. I'm just going to try to look ahead. So what do you think, let's say in the next 5 years, what would be required or what is needed to really create a more fair and transparent economy or society, basically? And I'm really speaking in terms of, let's say, the emergence of and use of self-sovereign identity. So just in 5 years' time, what is really required to get to that stage, to a more of a fair and transparent society?
It's a fair enough question because the issue of identity, you said a fair society, is linked to the issue of prosperity. When I wrote The Digital Economy in 94, I was very upbeat about the internet. I said, all these great things are going to happen. I said, some things could go wrong. There were 7 of them. They all have gone wrong. I said, we could lose our privacy in an irrevocable way. Check. I said, I think the internet will help bring us together. But it could go the other way. You could have false information or people end up in their own little self-reinforcing echo chambers. Yeah. Where the purpose of information is not to inform us, it's to, give us comfort. Check. I said, to the point, I think it will bring about prosperity because a big technology innovation like this always does that. But there's a weird thing happening in a lot of countries, in the United States, in Europe. The economies are getting bigger, but the middle class is shrinking. There's a concentration of wealth. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that the asset of the digital age, data, is being captured by a small handful. Mm-hmm. And so there's wealth creation, but the middle class is shrinking and prosperity is suffering. So how are we going to fix that and make a fair society? Well, the main approach we have today is to redistribute wealth. Okay, government should get involved, tax the rich. Elon Musk got to pay some taxes, okay? They're fair enough. But our whole approach is that there's a very different way of going about this. Rather than just the redistribution of wealth, we should distribute wealth. We should make a fair and more open and democratic economy.
What does that mean?
Well, people can participate in and benefit from the value that they create. DAOs. You don't have the wealthy shareholders and the workers both become a stakeholder of the DAO. And you create value, you get to benefit from that. So it's about decentralizing the economy. It's about changing the corporation, the deep structure and architecture of the firm. This is about changing the way we orchestrate capability in society so that people can benefit. And there are countless other ways that blockchain contributes to that. Self-sovereign identity, that thing's going to be working on your behalf to help you be prosperous. I mean, the remittance example that I gave you, this is $1 trillion industry. This is a ripoff. 70% of land titles in the world are not enforceable in the developing world. You got a little farm in Honduras and a dictator comes along, this really happened, and he says, you may have a piece of paper that says you own your farm, but the government computer says my friend owns your farm.
Oh, and that's interesting.
He eventually got kicked out. It's a big problem in India. Your parents die, you go to the land titles office, you got a will, somebody's bribed the land titles guy, and all of a sudden you don't own your farm, you're renting it. So you put all this on a blockchain and nobody can mess with it.
Exactly. So basically you have your self-sovereign identity, and under that you can kind of hang all of even your assets, your properties, et cetera, your medical records, as you rightfully mentioned earlier as well.
Yeah, for sure. And that thing, the virtual you, is going to help you negotiate it.
Exactly. Do you think that in the next, let's say 5 to 10 years, if we consider where we are right now and the time ahead of us, do you think we'll actually see more adoption for and use for self-sovereign identity?
I don't think we should be predicting the future. We have to achieve it.
How do you achieve that?
Yeah, people call me a futurist. I say, no, I'm not. I'm an educator. I'm a researcher. I'm somebody who's working hard to change the world. And can we do it? I don't know. I got a lot of hope. I'm sure determined.
Yeah.
And I know lots of other people who are. But, this is not going to come about because all of a sudden these huge digital conglomerates are going to say, Mark Zuckerberg's going to say, maybe the Facebook business model is wrong and we shouldn't be expropriating all the data from the participation that people should share in the wealth they create. We'll turn the whole model upside down. Now, he's not going to do that. I wrote an open letter to him once saying he should, that it's the right thing to do, and it's going to help Facebook be a more viable platform.
Because everyone basically benefits. Right?
Yeah. And, I don't think that's going to happen. That's a low probability thing. But there are extraordinary new platforms that are emerging all the time. And the self-sovereign identity that, it's been an idea in waiting. It's an idea whose time had not come because it was missing the really big muscle transformation. And that's the introduction of AI into an identity. And that's the big thing, agentic AI.
Agentic AI.
Yeah, you may have heard it first, but this is my upcoming book, co-authored to be announced soon, where it's about an agent. You have your agent, and your agent's gonna not only help you store all this data, it's gonna help you think. And it's gonna help you learn.
That's amazing. So basically all of that information that's kind of like circulating over the web about yourself, all of that data, you own that. And your, let's say digital you, that kind of helps you to like categorize, fashion the information and give you all of that, whatever you need. So basically you're a digital advisor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the shift from your identity being data to your identity being smart.
Yes. Lovely. I really enjoyed hearing, and I wish we had more time, of course, because I'm sure we have so much more that we can discuss and so much more for me to learn as well from you. But unfortunately, we are.
Well, if people want to know more about this, blockchainresearchinstitute.org, they can go there. And a lot of it's available. And Alex's book is the gold standard, Web3. Alex Tapscott, Harnessing the Internet's Next Economic and Cultural Frontier. I'm his dad, okay? I'm a little biased.
Of course.
But he's not just a banking guy and a technology guy. His background is history and philosophy and political science and law and jurisprudence. So when he's making an argument, he's able to marshal all this great, interesting, relevant historical stuff and make it a great read. So I'd strongly recommend that. Wall Street Journal bestseller.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. Sounds like a very interesting title as well. Yeah. Don Tapscott, thank you so much for joining us here today at Let's Talk Cardano. It's been a pleasure learning from you, having you share your insights about the topic of self-sovereign identity and exactly where we're heading, what it is. Until the next episode.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Cardano. For more insights and deep dives into the world of blockchain, don't forget to subscribe and reach us at cardanofoundation.org, where you'll find extra resources and content on all things blockchain. Leave us a review wherever you enjoy podcasts. Follow us on social media and stay tuned for more coming soon.